A couple of weeks ago, I talked about Tom MacDonald's recent single, You Missed, which he released in the wake of the Trump assassination attempt. In that song, he uses the line, "Thank God the left can't aim, thank God the right don't riot."
Thank God the left can't aim, thank God the right don't riot.
Well, I'm very saddened that over the past 48 hours, that's been proven wrong. The right have rioted. Typically, the right wing, in the face of adversity or in response to something that happens, have a more sort of stoic, stiff upper lip, strengthened resolve kind of approach to protesting. Sometimes the protests are loud, they're normally well attended, they're very seldom reported on in the mainstream media, and failing that sort of stoic, stiff upper lip, what they'll do is they'll have a few beers and wave some Union Jacks about for a bit. But unfortunately, as we've seen in Southport over the last couple of days, the right wing have rioted. And this is in response to the hideous news that we received a few days ago that a solo knifeman who was 17 years old went into a summer school for kids, mainly young girls, with a knife and indiscriminately started to attack the children. 3 we now know have died. Many others are still in critical conditions, as well as 2 ladies who were there running the event and very, very bravely put their own lives on the line to try and protect as many of the children as possible. They are also in critical conditions, and I can understand the frustration. Originally, there was leaked news that the person who carried out this attack was an immigrant who'd come over on a boat, and naturally this inflamed already underlying uneasy feelings, tensions and aggression towards those people that are coming to this country both legally and illegally. This led to protests, which led to riots, and these riots have led to the destruction of large amounts of property, but also, and more significantly, the injuring of a large number of police officers. Right, sorry to stop the video there. Just want to quickly ask a very, very big favour. If you like these videos, do please hit the subscribe button. It's absolutely free. And if you change your mind and you get bored of me rambling on about random things, you can always unsubscribe at any time. Also, if you appreciate the videos, there will be a link in the description to buy me a beer. Yes, the URL says buy me a coffee, but we all know, don't we? Anyway, back to the video. Now, I think it's fairly safe to say in the UK we have a very mixed view of the police. I feel their hands are incredibly tied by political correctness, by DEI, and they are also often misassigned to places and to projects and to events, and I'm talking specifically here about pride marches and things like that, where the public would probably prefer to see them allocated to looking into and solving what are deemed to be real crimes. That being said, whilst we can have misgivings and criticisms of the police force as a whole, I believe that the people who go ahead and apply to be a police officer and actually take their job seriously probably do so with the best of intentions. It's fairly safe to say that whilst maybe not all, but the vast majority of people who wish to become a police officer do so because they want better for their communities and for the public as a whole. So it's very sad to see that people who would normally protest in a peaceful manner have resorted to rioting. Some of the videos, including that I saw of a young Asian guy walking down the street just being punched square in the face indiscriminately by one of the protesters. It's sad to see, it's sickening to see, and not only is it tragic to see for the innocent people that are involved, the innocent public who may have had their property damaged, people like this young Asian lad who was attacked for seemingly, I guess, no reason other than he may have looked like someone who represented a group of people that the protesters had existing tensions with, or the police officers who are getting injured. You know, I have massive sympathy for those, but the problem is that this has given the largely left-leaning, in some cases very far left-leaning mainstream media here in the UK open season on anyone who is right of centre and chooses to express their opinions and their misgivings about whatever in a public forum. We can see from the reporting that the people involved in these protests and the subsequent riots are being described as far right. They're being labelled as members of the EDL, and if you're not from the UK, the EDL are the English Defence League, which basically spawned from sort of an anti-Islamification of the UK sentiment. Largely, their rallies and their protests have always been historically fairly peaceful. However, the left-wing media always jumped to label them racists, and of course there were always a few members of any group that will live up to any label that you give them. But now the media have all the ammunition they need to assassinate, metaphorically, this right-wing contingent who were spouting perfectly rational, reasonable and acceptable opinions. You know, they said enough is enough. This was of the belief, like I say, that the attacker was an illegal immigrant, and given the history of unprovoked terror attacks here in the UK, it's a perfectly legitimate thing to believe. But now, if it turns out that this young lad wasn't in fact an immigrant, I believe they're now saying he was born in Wales, and combine that with the rioting, the injured police, destruction of property, and unprovoked, seemingly racist attacks on members of other ethnicities in the street, it feels like it's set back the cause for the right wing so far in the eye of the public media, and certainly in the eyes of anyone who isn't to the right of centre when it comes to politics. I think they had a lot of good points. I totally agree that enough is enough, but attacking police, destroying property, and assaulting random people just for the colour of their skin is not the way forward. So I hope that this is a flash in the pan. I hope this doesn't become a regular thing, because as Tom MacDonald said, thank God the right don't riot.